Welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to see ideology, how ideology as a concept itself has evolved in Western world. Why I am saying Western world? Because ideology is not a thing of Orient. It is not a thing of East. It is a thing of West. So ideology. What is ideology? Ideology is in essence. Ideology in essence is is a set of beliefs or a set of idea that a person has, right? It can be communism, it can be liberalism, it can be hindutva, it can be secularism, right? Isms, every ism is an ideology. Islamism, right? Every ism is an ideology. So what ideology is ideology is ideology can have different meanings. There is no definite definition of ideology. Origin of ideology start with this scholar or this thinker known as Comte de Tracy. And this de Tracy says ideology as science of ideas. Science of ideas. ठीक है. Comte de Tracy coined this term ideology and he called ideology as science of ideas. Is this true? Calling ideology science of idea, is this true? Right? This is true because in political science every meaning has equal worth, right? Science of ideas. Science of ideas. So he gave this term ideology, whereby he says that it is a science of idea, and he says that ideology is nothing but a systematic way of studying knowledge. This this meaning is very different from the conventional meaning that we understand ideology from, right? We see ideology as force of action. We see ideology as set of beliefs or ideas that a person has. Comte de Tracy saw ideology as science of ideas, whereby he says that ideology is a systematic way of studying something, right? Now, this systematic way of studying something in modern times simply is known as science. Systematic study of something is science, right? Systematic way of studying something is natural science. Science or natural science have objectivity, have verifiability, have objectivity, have verifiability. Is this true? Is this true with ideology? It is not just true, right? In modern times, what Comte de Tracy called ideology, it is known as science, and in political science, natural science is known as positivism, right? Natural science in political science, physics, chemistry, maths, whatever, these objective verifiable science are known as positivism in political science, right? For the term ideology originally meant systematic way of studying knowledge as given by de Tracy. But this definition, that a way of systematic way of studying something in in modern times, is known as science or natural science, And in political science, it is known as positivism. Right? Positivism is nothing but natural science in political science. Positivism is the word for objectivity and verifiability in political science. Right? So the term ideology, which originally had this meaning that it is a science of idea, changed changed in modern times to be something else. Changed in modern times, and it became politicized. Right? It became politicized. Ideology is a political term right now. Ideology is a political term right now. Right? So understanding ideology more from its original meaning of systematic systematic way of studying something, we are going to understand politicized ideology and ideology in political science, whereby I will start with a callback to our first lecture, whereby we studied what is political theory, right? And we are going to understand in that in that context again what is ideology, right? I will write some terms: law, theory, philosophy, ideology, and propaganda, right? Law, theory, philosophy, ideology, and propaganda, right? Law, there is some law. It is based on some theory, which is based on some philosophy. This philosophy gives off some ideology, and this ideology is used as propaganda to move some people, right? I will give you example of, let's say, Marxism, right? The central law of Marxism, the central law of Marxism is dialectical materialism. It is a law for Marxism, which is based on Marxist Marxist theory of dialectics, unity of opposites, negation of negation, and quality changes to quality, which is based on philosophy of classes, that there are two classes. For this law, theory, and philosophy, there is this ideology known as communism. And in propaganda, they use this word revolution, right? From law to theory, the detailing has reduced. The simplification has happened. From law to theory, simplification has happened. From law to theory to philosophy to ideology to propaganda, simplification happens. And for this simplification, there is a lot of adulteration in original ideas, which is used to propagate it to the next generation or to the masses. Propagation For propagation, ideas are simplified. For propagation, ideas are simplified. Right? So this is what this is how from law to propaganda ideology evolves, a theory evolves, or a thinking evolves. From law to propaganda, more adulteration happens, more simplification happens. So ideology is a tool to move masses, and propaganda is a simpler tool to move masses, right? So this is the place of ideology in a lot of knowledge systems, whereby law from law to propaganda, more adulteration happens in original idea, right? Now we are going to see the term ideology. The term ideology. The term ideology, as we have just studied, was given by D. Tracy, right? Later the term later the term was politicized. Politicization of this term happened, and people like Marx called ideology to be false consciousness. Marx calls ideology false consciousness. He then Lenin comes. He calls ideology to be communism. He calls communism to be ideology of working class. Then came Gramsci. In his concept of hegemony and counter hegemony, he says dominant ideology is hegemony of dominant class. Ideology of dominant class is hegemony. Ideology of subaltern class is counter hegemony. Right? Then people like Karl Popper. Karl Popper calls ideology to be closed thinking. In his book Enemies of Open Society, right? And he calls ideology to be a feature of totalitarian societies, right? For Hannah Arendt, for Hannah Arendt, ideology is principle of action, right? Ideology is for propaganda, ideology is for moving masses, right? Then then came people like Karl Mannheim. Karl Mannheim in his book Ideology and Utopia gave concept of sociology of knowledge, right? Karl Mannheim, in his book Ideology and Utopia, gave concept of sociology of knowledge, whereby he says that every ideology has every theory or every ideology has its social class, right? Like liberalism belong to sociology or social class of capitalist. Communism belong to social class of workers proletariats, right? And he says that there are two types of ideologies as said by Gramsci. There is ideology and there is utopia. This ideology is hegemony, this utopia is counter hegemony. Ideology is perspective of dominant class. Utopia is perspective of exploited class. Utopia is a source of motivation, and by utopia, what Mannheim means is that it is it is a counter-hegemonic exercise whereby worker or exploited class tries to bring this utopia. This is not something which is a fairy tale. Worker actually would want to do this. Ideology and utopia. Ideology is very similar to hegemony, and utopia is very similar to counter-hegemony. Right? Then then came new perspective on ideology, which was neo-conservative approach to ideology. It was given by Oakeshott in his book Rationalism in Politics. What does he mean? What does he mean? He means that nothing, nothing can be understood. Nothing can be understood by you, me, anyone. Right? It is not. We are not able to understand anything. This is what Oxford is trying to say. Right? This is what Oxford is trying to say. He is trying to say that. He is trying to say that in his quote, and this quote you can use anywhere in political science answers. He says that in politics we move in a bottomless and borderless sea. It means what it means. It means that it's beyond our capacity to understand and explain the truth in politics. So he rejects the concept of ideology itself. That it is we are not able to understand anything in politics. Politics is bottomless and borderless sea. So leave it to that. Do not try to understand. Uh, do not try to understand ideology at all. Right now, ideology, the relevance of ideology in 21st century, relevance in contemporary world, relevance in contemporary world. Right right now, right now we are economic people. We want our productivity to be high. We want to acquire anything, and we are one dimensional. Right? So, because we are economic and we are one dimensional, ideology has become irrelevant of sorts. But ideology had become irrelevant of sorts. But then happened global financial crisis. Then happened pandemic. With global financial crisis and with pandemic, what happened was world and societies were in crisis. When world and societies were in crisis, we see rise of right and rise of left. Rise of right we see in Trump, in that Argentine president, prime minister president. He's also right. There is this Hungarian president prime minister who is also right. In left, we can understand Zoran Mamdani. Zoran Mamdani is a leftist guy, and he has got to power by propog by propagating, by making left, by making socialist left, by making social welfareism as his politics. Right? So in crisis, again the ideologies has become relevant, and we see rise and rise of left as well. Right? So so this was ideologies. This was understanding of ideologies by multiple scholars. Now, as we have understand what is ideology, we will understand what is end of ideology. We have understood ideology as a propagation of ideas, as a principle of action, as false consciousness, as class consciousness, as many things, right? As sociology of knowledge, as many things. We have seen ideology through multiple lenses, through Gramsci, to Karl Popper, to Hannah Arendt, and many people. Now we are going to see what is end of ideology. What is end of ideology? This is what we are going to see from the next lecture. I hope you understood this. I'll start with end of ideology from the next lecture. Thank you so much.